Welcome to the first part of Scrapbook. Hi friends, this is Sonia here and I hope you are going to enjoy this tutorial. So first we are going to do a lot of techniques and learn how to use your pattern papers, cardstock and your different elements to create the beautiful pages and different techniques. So let's get started, and here we are going to start with our page 1. Now in this page 1 we are going to create this beautiful magnetic lock, and of course it will have a lot of cute mini tags, elements to add up all the journaling details, your pregnancy memories, picture spaces, and I'm sure you are going to love it. Now this page has a lot of space for pictures, cute mini tags where you can have more pictures or you can do a lot of journaling. Now wherever you see the empty spaces in this, you can write, you can stick more photographs or stick cute mini labels and store it. So this is one of the easiest way and it is a very fun technique, and let's get started with this page and I hope you are going to enjoy it. So to start with, the scrapbook base what we had done, which you had seen in our previous video, this is the one which is ready, and we are going to start with the cover page 1 and we are going to call it as our page 1. So for this I have already cut a pattern paper of the exact size and I'm going to use my liquid glue. Now I'm not going to mention any of the pattern paper sizes here. Why? Because you can just take it if you want to create a border around it. You can leave just 2 mm in the measurements and then cut it. If you want the exact same size, it's really easy. You can just take the same measurements of the cardstock what I have mentioned in the video. So here I just wanted to have a very fine border around it. So I have left 1 mm from all the 4 sides and stick the pattern paper. Now once I'm done with this, it's time to do our cardstock work, and here the cardstock size is 17.5 by 19 centimeter and I've scored it at 5 centimeter from one of the corners. Now in every pocket and flap, I'll try to do my corner punch work, and if you want you can just leave it as it is with the sharp corner edges, but I love using the round punch, so I'm doing the corner punching here. So once I'm done with the size, the scoring, here I'm using a beautiful pattern paper of the exact same size. Now in this technique you will learn how to use just one cardstock and you can literally create beautiful pockets out of it. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more pattern paper on the back side of it. And now you must be wondering, what am I going to do with the leftover pieces? So stay tuned. So here all the pattern papers that I'm using are from the different packs. I am trying to create a beautiful mix and match floral and a very bright color theme for the scrapbook. And if you guys have not seen the walkthrough, please do watch the walkthrough before making this tutorial so that you know what you guys are going to create. So here adding one more pattern paper, and like I said, I never ever waste any of my pattern paper, so I'm going to use every bit of pattern paper in the scrapbook. So once I am done with the sticking work, I am going to use this as my flap for my scrapbook. Now the next pocket or the flap what we are going to make, and the cardstock size is 12 centimeter by 19 centimeter, and I have scored it at 1 centimeter from one of the sides. Now again I'm going to add the pattern paper. Now here is the thing, whenever I'm doing the pattern paper sticking work, I usually use my liquid glue because it gives me some breathing space and time to, just in case if I want to shift my paper here and there. If you are not very good with the glue, you can always use your tacky tapes, even they work wonderfully. The glue here what I'm using is a fabric glue, or you can even use a Tombow glue, which is absolutely good for your scrapbook making. I personally like these two glue, and if you have any particular different glue of your choice, you can use that also. So again, I have put up the pattern paper on both the sides, and the hinge part, I'm going to finish this at the end of this complete tutorial in the last series of the scrapbook making. So here I'm using my bone folder, burnishing it really well, like folding it really well. And now here I am going to stick my smaller layer to the bigger layer. Again, I'm using a liquid glue just to make sure that I have some breathing time and some breathing space to like shift my paper here and there, and liquid glue are just fab for that. So just adding a lot of my liquid glue, just trying to make sure that I have a good amount of adhesive so that I can stick it nicely. So this is a very simple technique, and here with this one you can create different multiple pockets also, multiple flaps, and this is one of the easiest way to have more journaling and picture space in your scrapbook or your journal making. Now again I'm burnishing this well, and you can see how neatly it has sticked also. And because I've used a liquid glue, I will be doing a lot of burnishing here, because that makes sure that our liquid glue has dried out completely. And here we have a very nice and beautiful book flap ready for us. Once I am done with this, we are going to move on to the next step, and you can always see the kind of color contrast I'm doing with the pattern paper to highlight both my flaps really well. Now here, just to make sure that I add a little extra strength to my pocket which we are going to create, I'm using my tacky tape, and I know I am going to be very good with the sticking of like margin on my scrapbook page. So I'm using a tacky tape, and here I will be using a liquid glue also. So whenever you use your tacky tape, you have to make sure that you burnish it really well. And I know it's a very small niche for the pocket, but trust me, with the small pockets also, you can add a lot of mini pictures, mini journaling tags, mini note tags, and they add up a lot of space in your scrapbooks and journaling. Now, once I'm happy with my glue work, my tacky tape work, it's time to stick this to our base, and you have to be really careful. So I'm going to stick it at one corner of my page, and I'm going to make sure that I have a exact margins on all of the sides, so that it looks very even when you like close the flaps. Again, burnishing it really well. And now in this one, it's time to add a magnetic tag, and for that I have decided to use a very cute little of flap making. So for this, the cardstock size is 15 centimeter by 5 centimeter, and I just wanted to add a little more strength, so scoring at 2.5 centimeter from one corner. Now, how to align it? You just need to make sure that you have folded it really well, scored it really well, add a glue, and then we know that how are we actually going to put it on this end of the flap, so that we can make a nice lock for our flaps. When you open the album, the page should not fall off. So this is the reason we are adding a magnetic tag, and this also gives us a space for adding a little more floral element or any other theme element, whatever you want to. So like this, the locks become very easy, and even adding a magnetic lock makes it much more fun. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pattern paper, and like I said, I'm not going to waste any of the papers. So whatever the leftover pieces I'm having from my base making, from each and every page designing, I'm going to use as and when needed in my scrapbook, and I'll try to contrast each one so that it complements my pages really well. Now here, this is a beautiful sentiment which comes with this pack, and I'm going to stick it on the top of it. I have already given it a backing of a cardstock. If you want, you can just stick the elements as it is. So here, once I'm done with the sticking work, it's time to add some more extra elements here. So these are the fussy sheets which I have done, and I'm going to add some nice thick chipboard to it. So what you can do is, whenever you are done with your base cover making, whatever the leftover pieces are, cut the small pieces of it and use it as your 3D effect, or you can even use your 3D foams or glue guns also. So just adding some glue and my thickness sheets, and again adding some more glue for extra strength, and this is one of the easiest way to do a beautiful 3D work. Once I'm done with all of these, now it's time to stick it to our base. And here what I'm going to do is I am going to add these one by one, and I just want to make sure that my content is really visible. The sentiments has to be really clear, and I do not hide any of them. So here I'm using 2-3 different shades of floral. You can mix and match, like in later pages you will see me using very different contrast colors which I have not used in this album at the starting. So this is really fun. Now adding some leaves to it just to add a little more drama, but you have to make sure that when you open the flap, your elements are not getting disturbed, they are not getting damaged. So it has to end at the end of the edge of the flap. Just the small points you need to keep in your mind and you are good to go. So I'm not adding any 3D foam to my leaves because I just want them to be flat on my surface. Just the florals are having the 3D effect. This looks really gorgeous, and because I've added a liquid glue, and it will take a little time to dry out, but it's absolutely fine because it is giving me some breathing space to make sure that when I open my flap, none of them gets damaged. Now here is the fun part. I have used this cute mini tag and I am going to add beautiful small piece of magnet here. Now this is the fun technique, like instead of adding my liquid glue again, here I'm using a tacky tape. This saves a lot of time. Trust me, you will thank me later when you try this technique. Stick it with the glue and then add your tacky tape, and then once you know that both the flaps are going to be on the top of each other, you can just stick it. And here your one magnet is done. So this way your magnet is not visible and you have a cute little tag, and we are going to use it in a very interesting way. Now adding my second magnet to it, and what the technique I'm going to use here is I am going to have my glue on the top of it, and then I'll close my flap. As you can see on the screen, this way you have a marking where exactly you need to stick your magnet. So here I am going to save time and use my tacky tape, and I'm going to stick a magnet. Now the magnet size what I have taken here is 2 mm. If you find the thinnest magnets, please do use that. The more thinner it is, the more nice it looks, and they are one of the best techniques to add a lot of drama to your projects, and having a lot of magnetic logs and edges, it looks amazing. Now wherever you are putting up your magnets, you have to make sure that the sticking work has to be done really well, because it will have a little bump of the magnet. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tacky tape on all the 4 sides of my pattern paper rather than using the liquid glue. Now the difference is the liquid glue takes a little time to dry out, and it will be very difficult for us to hold it for a certain amount of time. Now with the tacky tape, what happens is it sticks instantly because it's a tape. So you save a lot of time, but you have to be really careful that you stick it on the perfect spot. Okay, we can't go wrong there. So take your time, be calm, be at a very good mood, and then do this process. And trust me, once you get a hang of it, you are going to do this again and again in your different projects. So here I'm just trying to cut all the extra tapes from the around. Once I'm done with it, burnishing it well with my fingers or the tool you can use, and then now I'm going to apply it and stick it. So this is the one of the most important technique which you need to remember, that instead of using your glue, the liquid glue, use your tacky tapes. It saves a lot of time and it adds some more extra strength to it. Now if you want, you can add a little more liquid glue for your peace of mind, like I am doing here, because I feel somewhere like both the tapes are really important for our scrapbook. So here you can see me covering up the second magnet, and because I've used a tacky tape, I don't have to hold it for a longer time, and it's super easy. It's done, and my magnet lock is ready. Isn't it cool? And it isn't beautiful? So here we have the flaps, we have the magnets, and now it's time to add a little more elements here. Now for this, you can always have your sentiments ready. You can have the beautiful pattern paper strips, the leftover strips ready. So like here, I'm using a beautiful strip, and then I'm going to add some sentiment and some decorative pocket here and there. So with whenever the sentiment work I'm doing, I always make sure that I have a backing of my cardstock. And here, because it's a first page, it is definitely going to be about the announcement. So here it is the sentiment which says about the good news and a surprise. So you can always use your fussy cutting work. You can check out our website for all the fussy cutting designs, and I'm sure you're going to mix match a lot of them and love it. Now for the inner pocket, I wanted to add a little more drama, and here I am using some of the beautiful foil pattern papers. I have used them in a same color cardstock as a very nice tag for journaling and even for picture sticking. Now in one of these tags, I'm going to have my sentiment. This will add a little more drama to my tags, and the best part about these tags are you can always use them, shuffle them with your different pages as and when needed. So this also gives the mom to be or the parents to be a lot of time to just shift on the tags and the cute little pocket tags just to shift here and there and add their memories. I've covered up the flap with the small pattern paper and this looks nice. And the magnetic lock, this is absolutely amazing. So now here it's time to add a little more drama. So this is the pattern paper which had a nice backing to it, and I'm using a leftover doily. This is one of my paper cut doily which I had used for one of my previous project. So I'm just going to stick this, and I'm going to make sure that I have a nice teeny space for adding few more elements. Now in this one I'm just going to stick it from the bottom, not on the L shape or the sides or much more, just a simple glue work, and this will give you more space to add your pockets and to add more tags. So this way you can add as many pockets and tags to your papers, and this will give you more space for journaling too. As it's a pregnancy scrapbook cum journal, this definitely needs a lot of space for adding pictures, memories, notes from your loved ones. So this is a perfect way to add your drama. Now here adding one more sentiment from our fussy sheet collection from the pregnancy chart, and this looks good, and I have already pre-designed 2 of the tags, and this looks nice, and our page is ready. So yes, with this the page 1 is done, and now just adding some more sentiments here and there. Now if you see the actual walkthrough, you will see we have done a lot of elements adding, and this is one of them. So what I have done is I have circle punched these elements, and I'm going to back it with a beautiful pattern paper and stick it just from one corner. Now these are one of the best ways to add your trimester detailing or some of the important notes, and you can always shuffle these to different pages. Now stick them really well, let them dry, and once they have dried out, add your tags and just hook it on to any of your pages. This also helps them in not falling down. So this was a fun page, and I absolutely loved creating this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. So let's just take a quick walk through the magnetic lock we did. We have added a nice circular tag to it. We have added some more cute little pocket tags, a lot of space for pictures, a lot of space for journaling, and you have definitely a lot of space for pictures sticking too. So here all the tags are different. You can add as many tags you want and label them as and whatever the theme or the occasion you have planned that page for. And definitely this magnetic lock is a highlight for this page, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. This brings us to our page 2, and this is so exciting where we are going to have a lot of different elements. Now in this page we'll be learning how to create the beautiful space for small teeny mini tags, of course, and the space for the big pictures. So a journal is nothing and incomplete without beautiful pictures or some elements here. Now to start with, here we are going to have our beautiful pattern paper, and this is one of the pattern paper from one of my very old pattern paper pack which I have been holding for years now, and I thought this is a good time to use it. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a liquid glue. Now you will see me using a lot of liquid glue whenever I'm doing my pattern paper work, because I feel that with the pattern paper work you really need to make sure that you stick them really well, a bit of here and there, and it ruins your pages. So that's the reason I would highly recommend to use your liquid glue or adhesive, but if you are good with the tacky tape, you can definitely go ahead with it. So here I am almost done with the sticking of my paper, and like I always say, I try to stick it really well, press it really well on my page so that it sticks very nicely on my base. So once I'm happy with this work, then we will be doing the flap work, and for that again we'll be needing a beautiful cardstock shade. I'm choosing the same cardstock shade, and the size of this is 14.5 centimeter by 12.5 centimeter with a score of half and 1 centimeter at the end. I have already pre-cut all the pattern papers once I decide that how I'm going to create a layout, so that I save time by not trying to do what I have to do and figure out on the spot. So this way I'm a little planned and I know what other stuff I'm going to need. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to add a beautiful contrast pattern paper here. If you see the choose of the pattern paper here, I am using all the different patterns. I'm not repeating the patterns in one page, so that it really highlights each and every flap, every pocket, every tags. And that is something which is really needed when you're doing some very heavy journal. Like this is a very thick, heavy pregnancy journal scrapbook. So it is going to have a lot of elements, and every element is important of this journey. Now, just to make sure that my flap, the edge which is going to be seen from inside, is looking cool and pretty, I'm adding a different color pattern paper strip here. So this way I use all the scraps of my pattern paper. So whenever I'm cutting the pattern paper, whatever the scraps are, I always save it so that I can use it immediately in the same project, and it goes very well and it actually blends very well with your project. So once I'm done with this, adding my liquid glue, and then I am going to stick this on my base. Now, just to save time, you guys can use the tacky tape, but I just feel that I should use the glue tape because I'm not sure how nicely I'm going to stick it. So just to save some more extra time for the drying, I am using this glue here. So once I'm aligned with the process of sticking, I'm going to press it well and then burnish well. I will be using my bone folder for this. You can use any of your tool, or you can even use your old credit cards. It works perfectly fine. So I usually carry 2 to 3 different kind of bone folder tools with me so that it's easy. Now this is a very nice technique. Use any of your leftover cardstock. Now this is of approximately size 5 centimeter by 2.5 centimeter, and just round off the edges if you want and stick it in an L section so that you have a nice cute little pocket to stick on, and where you can add teeny mini tags. Now this is a very simple technique. You are just using your leftover scraps and creating a beautiful base for your mini pocket making. So you don't have to stick it, you don't have to like completely close it from the 3 sides. And now to highlight this, I'm using this beautiful fussy cut. All these collections are there on our website at growingcraft.com. You guys can check that. And these little elements, these little fussy cut make it much more special. Adding some of my chipboard pieces for a little more 3D effect. And trust me, these little fussy cuts, they add so much of your personalized touch to your scrapbooks. Do try out these techniques and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. So here I'm done with the sticking part, but I have to complete it with a beautiful and pretty sentiment here. And that is a baby bump picture which I have. So I'm going to just add a kick sentiment here, and this goes really well. So you can always have some of the relative sentiments, and all these sentiments are there in the pack and you guys can use that. Now here in this one, I'm using this cute little die cut star. This I had used for one of my baby albums and I absolutely loved it, and I thought this is going to go gel in really well with my pregnancy album also. So just adding a little more element, highlighting a more elements, and here we are good to go. Now one of the most important tips is to have all the teeny mini tags ready and to even highlight your sentiments. This is one of the way which I do it. I'm using this fussy cut to highlight a sentiment. How am I going to do it? I have just stick the fussy cut here. It's a plain simple different pattern size fussy cut, and adding my chipboard, and then I'm going to stick my sentiment on the top of it. And as you see the video, you will realize that how beautifully it highlights your sentiment, and that is so important. So this is one of the easiest and the finest way of adding elements to your page, not doing too much of work but still highlighting each and every sentiment whatever you are adding. So all these mini tags, cutouts are there, and the sheets are there, and just adding a first trimester tag. And like I said, these are always handy to use it on your different pages. So this is how you create a beautiful layout where you can have more pictures and more journaling spaces where you can add more tags and pockets. So this brings to our next page, and it's a page 3. So let's have a quick walkthrough of this page. This is one of my favorite page because here you don't do much, but you have a lot of space for journaling and pictures. As you can see, I'm having so many tags and still there is a space in the background, and here I am going to do a lot of pattern paper work. Now to start with, again we'll be sticking the base with a beautiful pattern paper. If you are someone who wants to save a time, what you can do is you can just stick the pattern paper at the starting of the scrapbook. Just add all the pattern papers at one time, and then you can keep on adding the pockets and the flaps. Now for here I'm using the 16 centimeter by 9.5 centimeter cardstock. I've scored it 1 centimeter from both the ends, and this is going to be my pocket. Now here because I want to make it really straight and I did not want it to take chance, I'm using my liquid glue. So I'm using a fabric glue. You can use a regular glue also. If you want, you can use a Tombow glue, and I think they are really good for any of your scrapbooks making. This is one of the very simple technique, and here I just felt that I should have a little bit of glue at the bottom just to seal that page a little more so that my tags don't fall off. Just a thin line of glue and it's good to go. So I'm sticking it on my base, leaving some of the borders from the bottom so that it highlights my pattern paper, and when I'm sticking the second pattern paper, it's going to highlight my pocket a little more. So this is one of the easiest way to highlight your pattern papers and to play around with the pattern papers. Now this is a contrast. It's a very pretty baby theme pattern paper, and like I said, I'm going to do a lot of contrast work to highlight my elements. Once this is done, again I am going to use a beautiful sentiment, and this was a leftover die cut, a doily cutout, and I have just used it and I'm going to add again my chipboards. You can use your 3D foams or you can use your glue guns also, and just to add a little more 3D effect to your base. So I'm going to stick it, and I'm going to leave some space because I have thought of using a cute little tag here. So I've used a lot of pattern papers, and I even buy a lot of pattern papers, and this was a cute little tag which was there, and I thought it's a nice idea to have a little space beneath where you can have some more space for teeny tags or something. So just highlighting this with a little cute little star in a contrast color, and I will be adding a simple sentiment to it. So this is ready, and here are some of my tags which I have made with the leftover cardstock and the pattern paper. Added some sentiments to it, and they are so good to go. So let's do a quick review. So here is a tag with a sentiment, with a tag cutout, with a beneath space, and here we have some amazing tags of different sizes for journaling and pictures. So this is one of the fun way of adding pockets in your page, where you can have a lot of tags, and journaling is so fun. Now here comes the page 4, and it's one of the perfect example of how to use your leftover scrapbook pattern papers and not to throw them away and creating something beautiful. In this one, we'll be learning about how to use flaps in multiple ways so that you have more space in just one page for your pictures and journaling, and you will see how beautifully you can use the different pattern papers and create a beautiful blend of different shades of color and a lot of space for journaling and picture sticking. So to start with, again here we are just going to use our beautiful pattern paper. Now here I had an idea that I'm going to play a lot with my leftover pattern papers. It's going to have a lot of different color blends. So I am using a very pastel shade at the background, which I have used in my previous page too. Once I'm done with the sticking of it, it's time to move on to the next step, but you have to make sure that it sticks really well. Now take another cardstock of size 14.5 centimeter by 18 centimeter and then score it at 1 centimeter from one of the ends. Now this is the best part. You are left with a lot of pattern papers when you're doing your scrapbook making, card making. Don't throw them away. Here I'm using a leftover piece which I have been holding since I started this project, and I'm using a leftover pattern paper from one of my previous project. Just matching them together to create a beautiful layout out here. So this is one of the very fun way. Now still, if you are confused, if you are thinking that you have to use the same color pattern paper, no, absolutely no. On the back side, what I did was I'm using a very contrast pattern. It's with the polka dots and the lines and the dotted pattern. And here, to complement this and to highlight my flap a little more, I'm going to use a very contrast design that's a floral pattern. And I'm going to overlap this. Now, this is a fun way of using your leftover cardstock, your leftover pattern papers, your leftover fussy sheets, and creating something beautiful. So this page looks absolutely gorgeous, and just see that with the leftover pattern papers we have done such amazing designs. Now here I'm just sticking my fussy cuts with the liquid glue. Nothing much to do here because I want to highlight my sentiment. So I'm just sticking this flat on my sheet. Everywhere you don't have to do too much of 3D work, because here I wanted to highlight my sentiment, so I have added a foam tape to my sentiment and sticking it here. This is highlighting my sentiment, which I really wanted, and then at the end I'm going to use my leaves as a filler. Now this is the technique which I use every time I use my leaves. I always put them at the end because I always use them as a filler to cover up my space, to make it a little more fuller and beautiful. So all of these are hand cut, and all of these are available on our website. Now once I am really happy with this one, it's time to move on and to stick this. Now for sticking this one, you can use your liquid glue, you can use your tacky tape, and here I'm using my liquid glue. So once I'm done with applying my liquid glue, I usually brush it off with my fingers to remove all the excessive one, and to even make sure that I have sticked it really well, because these flaps are going to have a lot of pictures on the top of it, and it is going to make our pages heavier. So the cardstock has to be of a certain GSM which is mentioned in the material list, and it should also be sticked really well. So once this is done, I'm going to again burnish it really well. You have to make sure that whenever you are doing your scrapbook pages or layout, you burnish them well. Now again I'm using a leftover piece of pattern paper, and again I'm going with a contrast combination here, and this is looking so pretty, so gorgeous. Covering up just the flap strip with another different kind of pattern paper is giving a lot more different color and bright charm to this one. Now here is the technique for doing the waterfall. So I have taken up a cardstock of size 11.5 centimeter by 12.5 centimeter, scored it at 1 centimeter from the top, and adding a pattern paper on one side. Now if you see the complete walkthrough of the video, if you have not seen that, please see that before starting this tutorial. You will see later on I'll cover that too. We will be needing 2 flaps for this waterfall. If you want, you can add more number of flaps. It's completely your choice. For this page, you can have at least 3 or 4 flaps, and it's easy, super easy to accommodate. Now once I'm done with this one, it's time to stick my waterfall. Now here is a mistake what I did. I had planned to use the other waterfall on the top, but then while doing this, I think while just going with the flow, I did not realize, and I sticked the first flap first, the second flap first, and this was actually getting very easily blended to my pattern, the base pattern paper. And after sticking it, I realized that, oh, I have done a mistake. I should have used the other one. So now you will see that why using your glue is very important in these places, because after applying the glue, I have sticked it, and it takes few seconds to dry out. So you still have a breathing time to remove it. So here, after I realized that, oh, I have made a mistake, I literally pulled it off, and I was very lucky, did not ruin my page at all. Sticked my first flap, which I really had planned. Once I'm happy with it, then I'll stick the second waterfall just beneath that. So this is one of the easiest way of creating multiple flaps in one page and adding more space for pictures and journaling. So was this really interesting? Let me know, and I'll be more than happy to add few more of these techniques in my next tutorials. So here I'm just pressing this really well. Initially I thought I should have used a tacky tape to save my time, but after seeing the mistake what I was about to do, I'm lucky that I used my liquid adhesive. Now here the flap is done. I'm just going to quickly add 1 centimeter here, and like I said, it's a cute one, so I really wanted to have a very all the nuances of the pregnancy. So all the sentiments are very much related to pregnancy and trying to highlight each and every stages of pregnancy. Now just adding a sentiment at the bottom, and this gives me space to add one more tag here. So adding few more tags for spaces and a quick walkthrough. Again here I have a ultrasound patch and adding more spaces for pictures and adding more tags for journaling, and even inside you can have few tags. You can write, you can stick pictures or make a notes or have your friends write your special moments. So this is a cute little walkthrough of this album. The page number 4 we are done with right now. And yes, we'll see you in the next tutorial to do the remaining pages.